How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Will Jaylon Johnson see the field week 1, or will Kevin Tolliver get the start? And how many interceptions will Kyle Fuller have in 2020? We are going to be discussing these topics and many more today in another episode of our positional review. Today, obviously, we are taking a look at the cornerback position. I am your host, Chris Malpe, and today I'm joined with my co-hosts, Parth and Jaylen McClinton. How's it going, guys?
Doing pretty decent. We're out here recording another video. Saw Chris on Wednesday, which is awesome. Hung out for the second time ever. Had a great time. Missed you, Jaylen, though.
I'm doing good. I just woke up. Early work grind, but it's whatever. Let's talk about some Bears football.
Let's do it. So we're here to break down the cornerback position today, a position that really had some question marks surrounding it coming into the 2020 season, but I think the Bears did a pretty good job at picking up some solid pieces this offseason. So let's just hop right into it. First off, obviously, at the top, we have All-Pro and Pro Bowl cornerback Kyle Fuller. He's made the Pro Bowl twice, also named to the All-Pro first team in 2018. In that 2018 season, where the Bears went 12-4, won the NFC North, and made the playoffs, Fuller had 21 passes defended and 7 interceptions, both career highs. 2019 was also decent. He had a career high in tackles with 82, which smashed his record from earlier. Also 3 interceptions and 12 passes defended, and quite possibly the most dropped interceptions in the league. He also earned another Pro Bowl nomination in 2019. So, Parth, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, since around 2017, Fuller has really turned his career around. So what are your thoughts on him heading into another season, and do you think he's going to perform well again here in 2020?
I really hope so he does, because cornerback is, I think, one of our weakest position on defense, I'd say. It's hard to call it even weak compared to our other positions. It is considered weak, I'd say. So if Kyle Fuller can step up and go back to being like a 2018 Kyle Fuller, where he was intercepting, playing great defense. Last year, he became a really good tackler as well. We saw him improve as a tackler last year. So if you can put it all back together this year, have a terrific season again, it would be great for the Bears.
So we obviously saw the Bears match the Green Bay Packers offer sheet for Kyle Fuller to re-sign him to a 4-year deal worth $56 million with only $18 million guaranteed in the beginning of 2018. Obviously Jaylen, he turned his career around big time to earn that extension, so kudos to him. What do you think about Fuller heading into 2020?
I think he's a great player. A lot of people don't consider him a top 10 cornerback. This season, I wouldn't say he's top 10, but he's definitely top 15, and that's no doubt about that. Just a couple of years ago, people didn't know if he was going to make the roster or not. Like they were saying, coming into the season, he might be cut before the regular season, and now he's our best corner. He's like you said, he's an All-Pro and a 2-time Pro Bowler in the last 2 years. I'm definitely happy that he was able to turn his career around with all the doubts that he had on him. This season, I expect him to have a season that he had last year. 3 to 4 interceptions and a lot of tackles. He gets for a person who's an All-Pro, he gets targeted a lot. So I guess that's why sometimes he gets burned, but he's still one of the top corners on our team, no doubt about that.
Absolutely. Kyle Fuller was actually the most targeted cornerback in the league in 2017, and in his 2018 season, he was 1 pass defended behind the Lions' Darius Slay, who obviously now is with the Philadelphia Eagles. But that being said, he had a breakout year, and he's really entrenched as the Bears' number 1 cornerback in 2020. I'm really excited to see what he's doing. So, heading on to number 2 cornerback, there's 2 choices here. There's Kevin Tolliver or Jaylon Johnson. But just to spruce it up a little bit, let's talk here about Jaylon Johnson. He was a 50th overall pick out of Utah in the 2020 NFL Draft. He's had 3 shoulder surgeries since 2018, but did play the entire 2019 college season with a torn labrum for the Utes. He got surgery twice this offseason and has said that he's going to be ready for training camp once it starts up at the end of July. 2 interceptions and 11 passes defended in his junior season at Utah. Also ran a 4.5 40-yard dash and drew a draft comparison to former Colts cornerback, who was also a Buffalo Bill, who walked out of the game at halftime and retired, Vontae Davis. So a pretty solid comparison there for Jaylon Johnson. had first-round draft grades wherever you look, basically. So I think it was a really nice pick for the Bears. Parth, I want to ask you, do you like this pick, and do you think Johnson's going to be able to be ready for the season?
Absolutely, he's going to be ready for the season. I love the pick. To get him at pick 50 in the second round was an absolute steal. I think he's going to make impact right off the bat, whether that's starting across Kyle Fuller or coming in and replacing Kevin Tolliver halfway through the season or even a couple games into the season. He had a lot of high draft grades, as we know that. He's only 21, and he played excellent coverage at Utah despite having a shoulder injury throughout the season. So once he's healthy and ready to go, I think he could be an absolute stud for years to come for the Bears.
You also have to take a look at Kevin Tolliver, someone who I know Jaylen is a big fan of. Was an undrafted free agent in, I believe, 2017 or 2018. Has had 29 career tackles. Also is vying for that number 2 spot. But obviously, we're here talking about Jaylon Johnson. So, Jaylen, I want to ask you. Obviously, we've talked about this pick for a while since the NFL draft. But what are your thoughts on the Jaylon Johnson pick? And do you think that he'll be able to start here in 2020?
I think it was a great pick. A lot of analysts had him going in the late first round, and we got him at pick 50. If he can stay healthy, I definitely feel like he can see the field. I don't know if he's going to start right out the gate just because of his injury concerns, but I definitely think he's going to see a lot of snaps in his rookie season.
Absolutely. Heading down the depth chart to the nickel corner, we've got Buster Skrine, definitely a grizzled veteran to say the least. He did have 5 passes defended and 48 tackles in 2019 in his first season with the Bears. If you head down a little bit further down the depth chart, you've got Kevin Tolliver, Artie Burns, a player who, was a former first-round pick, panned out in his first season, didn't really do too much since then. Also, CFL star Tre Roberson, 5th-round draft pick Kindle Vildor, and 2019 draft pick Duke Shelley. So now we're going to head into some questions about the cornerback room. There's not much to cover here, but let's just hop right into it. Obviously we talked about Kyle Fuller when we started off this episode. 7 interceptions was a career high for him in 2018. Also had 3 in 2019, but also probably could have had a few more. So, Parth, I want to ask you, how many interceptions do you think Fuller ends up having here in 2020?
I'm going to go with 4 to 5 interceptions. It's really tough to get interceptions in the NFL, regardless of who you are. So for him to get 4 or 5 would be a great season.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 5. With the pressure that this defensive line should be able to produce, if Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, and Robert Quinn are all healthy, it's going to force the quarterbacks to throw up some bad balls, and I think it's going to force the quarterbacks to throw up worse balls than we saw in 2018 when Kyle Fuller had a career-high 7 interceptions. You got to get the ball out quick. We talked earlier about how much Fuller is targeted. He was the most targeted cornerback in 2017 and almost had the most passes defended in 2018. So I'm going to meet in the middle here between his last 2 seasons, go 5 interceptions, but I do think he will make his 3rd consecutive Pro Bowl. I think he's one of the most slept-on cornerbacks in the league. Definitely a top 5, maybe even a top 10, maybe even a top 5 guy. So, Jaylen, I'm going to pass it to you. What do you think? How many interceptions here for Kyle Fuller in 2020?
Like Parth said, it's very hard to get interceptions in the NFL. Everybody's a professional. Every quarterback is a professional football player. Whether he's not that good in the NFL, he still made it to the NFL for a reason. Like I said, I doubt that he has high interception numbers like he did in 2018 with 7, which led the league. So I'm going to go around 3 here too. I just feel like, for a person who gets targeted that much, he really can't catch like that. That's why he's a cornerback. Like I said, he caught 7 interceptions in 2018, but I doubt he ever gets close to that again. Due to he's getting older and not younger, so I'm going to say 3.
Okay, yeah, and we also know that Kyle Fuller obviously getting targeted a lot means he's going to get a lot of tackles. Obviously had 82 tackles and a Pro Bowl nomination in 2019, so still a little bit of a down year for him, a little bit of a down year for the entire Chicago Bears team, so can't really be too mad about that. Let's head down to cornerback number 2. Obviously, there's going to be a competition. Matt Nagy has already announced it. The guys that you have to think are involved with that, obviously I would say the leader out of the gates is probably Jaylon Johnson, but he's not far behind, followed behind by Kevin Tolliver. Also, Artie Burns and Tre Roberson will be in the mix. Tre Roberson really is an oddball. But I want to ask you guys, obviously it seems like the 2 that have, I guess, the step ahead in this competition are Jaylon Johnson and Kevin Tolliver. So, Parth, I'm going to pass it to you and ask you, will Jaylon Johnson see the field week 1 when the Bears head to Ford Field in Detroit, or do you see Kevin Tolliver getting the start off the bat?
I'm going to go with Kevin Tolliver. Like Jaylen, I'm also very high in Kevin Tolliver coming into this season. Last year against Dallas, he came in to play a couple snaps once Prince got out of the game. And I thought Kevin Tolliver was very impressive that game. And I feel like if he knows the defense, he's been with Chuck Pagano. Pagano has said that he's a great cornerback. Same with Vic Fangio when he was here. Vic said he was a great cornerback. So I think Tolliver gets his chance to start, prove his place in the league and on the team. And you never know how he could play, but if things go wrong, Jaylon Johnson is there to come in and play, and he's also a terrific corner himself.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. When you look at the games from last year, you look at the Week 15 game against Green Bay, and that one really stands out to me. Kevin Tolliver came in, did a great job shadowing an elite receiver in Devontae Adams. But that being said, I kind of compare it to the quarterback situation where the in-house guy may have the upper step. Like Mitchell Trubisky may have the upper step in the quarterback competition. But if you do mess up, if you aren't really good, there's going to be someone there to replace you. So Nick Foles for Trubisky in that instance. And same goes for Jaylon Johnson, obviously. A highly touted pick out of Utah. Played all of 2019 with a torn labrum. He has that dog mentality that the Bears want. I definitely think he'll see some starting action, but maybe not right out of the gates. So, Jaylen, I'm going to pass it to you. Who do you think starts at cornerback 2 for Week 1 in Ford Field against the Detroit Lions? Who's going to be trying to pick off Matthew Stafford, Jaylon Johnson or Kevin Tolliver?
You guys know the answer. I'm going with my boy KT2. He's been Chuck Pagano's defense 1 year longer than Jaylon Johnson. Jaylon Johnson's a rookie. I still have a little bit of concerns over his shoulder injuries. He's hurt his shoulder all 3 years while he was in college. Yeah, he played through it, but it's still a concern. We don't want another Anthony Miller, who's a good player, but has constant shoulder concerns. But like I said, I'm gonna go with Kevin Tolliver here, especially if you don't have a training camp. We still don't know how that's gonna go with the coronavirus and stuff like that. So if we don't have a training camp or a preseason, and we just go straight to season, or with a shorter training camp, then I'm still going to go with Kevin Tolliver just because he knows the defense more than Jaylen does.
100%. Now, obviously, if you take a look at Ryan Pace's draft history, he always seems to take a player from a small school, whether it be Tariq Cohen in 2017 out of North Carolina A&T or Adam Shaheen in that same year out of God knows where he went. I don't even want to talk about Adam Shaheen. But obviously, you look at 2020, and the small school pick had to have been Kindle Vildor. Vildor had 2 interceptions, 3 tackles for a loss, and 6 passes defended in his senior season at Georgia Southern. Really stood out on tape in a game against Clemson. A pick I'm liking more and more. I'm going to answer this question first. The question is, do you like this pick, and where could you see him playing? Looking at Vildor's footage, he's really good in man coverage. He's got really quick foot speed. I think he could be someone who could possibly even move up to safety, but he can play outside corner. He has definitely said in the past that he can play nickel corner, and he's also thrived there. He's really a gadget player. You can put him all over the field on defense. I like the pick a lot, and I really hope it pans out. But Parth, I'm going to pass it to you. Kindle Vildor, a very interesting pick. We all saw his reaction to being drafted by the Bears. He was super psyched to come to Chicago. So I want to ask you, do you like this pick, and could you see him, possibly contributing this year, backing up Buster Screen or maybe on special teams?
Yeah, definitely. I was super excited with the pick. I had us taking him in the 5th round in a mock draft that we did all together as fan pages back in the day. So Vildor coming to Chicago, a great pick by Ryan Pace, another small school corner that we drafted. We also have Duke Shelley, who he's probably going to compete with for the backup position with Buster Screen. And then we also have, I forgot his name, but we took him in the 7th round last year in the draft as well. So there's a lot of depth in the cornerback position.
Absolutely. Jaylen, Kindle Vildor, a very interesting prospect out of Georgia Southern. What do you think about that pick, and where could you see him possibly playing?
I like the pick a lot, especially for it being a 5th round pick. Pace had a really good 5th round in my opinion. But like Parth said, I think he's going to compete with Duke Shelley and Stephen Denmark, who was our corner that we drafted in the 7th round last year. I don't get Rod Pace took 4 corners in the last 2 drafts, but the more competition brings the best out of players. So I can't really get mad at it. But I definitely feel like he can compete at the slot cornerback behind Buster Screen. Buster Screen's 30 years old. He's not getting any younger. I feel like this was a future pick instead of a now pick.
100%. So this is a little bit shorter of an episode of Positional Review, but you guys, if you are avid fans of the show, you know how we close this off. We grade the position, so we're here to grade the cornerback position today. I'm going to give the cornerbacks B-. The depth is there. I really like the pickups that we made. Obviously, the Bears losing Prince Amukamara, who it hurts to pain me, but he had to go even though he is a friend of the show. But that being said, there is good depth at cornerback too with Jaylon Johnson, Kevin Tolliver, Artie Burns, and Tre Roberson. All those guys can probably play regardless of what order they are in. So I'm going to give the cornerbacks a B-. Kyle Fuller is going to need another big year if the secondary wants to do good. Obviously, the cornerbacks group nicely with the safeties. Eddie Jackson's going to be back at free safety. Overall, I think this defense is going to mirror the 2018 team. That's a lot to ask for, but that being said, I'm pretty confident that the depth is there. So I'm going to give the cornerbacks a B-. Parth, I'm going to pass it to you. What would you grade the cornerback position?
Like you said, the depth is there. I'm just worried about that star power, I guess, about the cornerback position. I love Kyle Fuller. I do think he's a great corner, but I need some more consistency out of him before I give him that top 5, top 7 edge of a corner that a lot of Bears fans like to give him. So I'm going to rate our cornerbacks a C+. It's a little low. I usually am the more optimistic guy, but just a little scared about that top-heavy position about the corners, I guess.
Jaylen, what do you think? What grade are you giving the cornerback position here?
I'm going to give it a B too. I just need to see production from, the second cornerback in Buster Screen as well. He didn't have a bad season, but we didn't give him all that money last year for him to have an average season as one of the highest paid nickel corners in the league. Like I said before, there's going to be competition at the number 2. Maybe we'll see competition at number 3 if Buster Screen doesn't play right in camp. So I'm going to have to give it a B here with our only real corner being Kyle Fuller.
Yeah, so that'll pretty much do it for a cornerback positional review. We broke down the depth chart today, answered some questions, but the cornerbacks are looking to be better here in 2020. If you want more content from us, do us a favor, head over to our website, beardown.com. We're posting all sorts of content on there every day of the week. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at beardown, and you can also find the links to our social media fan pages on Instagram down in the description. Guys, training camp is looking to start somewhat soon, July 26th, 28th or so. So, Jaylen, Parth, any last words, guys?
Hopefully it all starts on time. I think the NFL just canceled or postponed the Hall of Fame game. It's a little shaky start to just the season, I guess. Hopefully it all works out because I need some football. I mean, as long as everyone's staying safe as well, though. So that's number 1 priority.
What Parth said, I really hope it's a training camp. Trubisky gets to show us Nick Foles why he's the QB1. And, that's about it. Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. Let's hope that this virus continues to get better. It's looking a little shaky in some states. But that being said, Illinois is pushing along strong. Hopefully we can get a vaccine done sometime soon here in the summer. It's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Bear Down Positional Reviews. Bears fans, do us a favor, continue to stay safe, and as always, bear down. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.